They both were sitting in different interrogation rooms. Matthew was unwavering.
I gave him $17,200. I gave him cash.
When the detective challenged him, he doubled down.
Matt, $17,000 didn't happen, okay?
Yes, it did.
The response was quiet, controlled.
Oh, there's no money.
You never had it, yeah.
That exchange is the psychological fulcrum of the interrogation. Matthew insists on the existence of untraceable cash. Detectives insist on verifiable proof. One side relies on belief. The other relies on records. Kathy echoed the financial tension. She admitted.
He came home and told me because I kept saying, well, let's go get the $5,000 ready because we had it in the bank account.
But when confronted about what happened after Wick died,
But you spend it. So what do you run out of the money there?
We had $5,000 for a while in there.
You did not have $5,000 when you needed it.
spending after a creditor's death doesn't prove murder, but it creates perception. And perception is what juries evaluate. Then the story begins to fracture. Matthew claimed Wick came to him for help. Investigators responded with one devastating reality.
He didn't need the money.
And then came the contradictions. Matthew tried to blame errors on police.
The cop wrote it wrong.
Detectives calmly read back his own signed words.
I obtained a loan and paid him.
No, it doesn't.
But the pertinent questions are who this evil couple is, what happened on that day. Thanks to the law enforcement for providing me this footage. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. I don't have many followers, but your single comment is a ray of hope for me. In 2012, Thomas Wick was found shot to death inside his own home in Wisconsin. He wasn't known as a violent man. By all accounts, he was a family-oriented businessman who had tried to help others, including Matthew Moore and Moore's girlfriend, Katie, by selling them a house on land contract despite Moore's poor credit history. Friends described Wick as generous, steady, and willing to give people second chances. When investigators arrived at the scene, something felt staged. On the wall inside the home, the letters MS-13 had been written, an apparent reference to the notorious gang. At first glance, it suggested a gang-related killing, but detectives quickly questioned whether it was real or a deliberate attempt to mislead. Attention turned to Moore and Katie. They owed Wick money under the land contract agreement, including a $5,000 annual payment. Moore later claimed he had given Wick $17,000 in cash to restructure the deal, money he said he had saved secretly over years. But detectives could find no paperwork, no bank withdrawal matching that amount, and no credible financial trail. Instead, records showed financial strain. Even more suspicious, shortly after Wick's death, Moore and Katie reportedly began spending money. During interrogation, Moore's story shifted repeatedly from how the money was delivered to where it came from to who was present. Katie's statements also raised concern, particularly about when she learned of the alleged payment and what she knew about the events surrounding Wick's death. Detectives focused heavily on timing, phone calls made early in the morning, visits to Wick's home, and the couple's financial behavior immediately after. But the moment that changed everything did not come from forensic evidence. It came from inside the jail. A former podmate of Katie voluntarily contacted investigators. According to her recorded statement, Katie had spoken openly while in custody. The podmate told detectives, verbatim,
He told me that she was there and Matt wrote MS-13 on the wall. Later on said, oh, I was in the car with him when he threw it up the window. And I'm like, you ain't tell me that either.
And when discussing motive, the podmate recalled telling Katie directly.
Then they owed him some more, but since they didn't have it all when they were supposed to have it in, they lost a down payment or some shit like that. And I'm like, I think that's how it works though. And then she's like, yeah, well, that pissed Matt real off, and I heard Matt say he's gonna kill him.
Most damaging was the claim that Katie's version of events kept changing, first denying presence, then admitting it, then altering details about the weapon disposal. By the time formal interrogations unfolded, investigators were no longer examining a possible gang hit. They were confronting a financial dispute, inconsistent statements, suspicious spending, and alleged admissions from within jail walls. One stage gang sign may have tried to divert attention, but one witness's words redirected the entire investigation. So cops brought both Kathy and Moore in for the interrogation, and today we will look into the psychological aspects of this case.
It must be our land record. I've never seen it.
This is this would be your tax records. This is.
I could have brought my land contract.
Oh, I've got one, but I had stuff marked on it. I'm just
Oh.
I've got like 2 or 3 copies. That's why I was trying to look at.
Okay.
So this says, you know, that you're that
Yep.
master owner. You're not on title?
Yes, I am. We both signed Vantmore Taylor.
Oh, okay, so you're.
We both signed the land contract. It shows it on the land contract.
Okay. Sounds good. Cool. 60 specs I call my glasses. Smart GD. What I'm looking for is the terms of
I was
your.
gonna say, I didn't even see any of this.
This is all the
Well,
legal
I have
filings, okay, because when we pull up from these
Oh,
are all the legal filings, like this is certificate of compliance.
I was gonna
This
say, I
is,
didn't
that
see that stuff.
compliance with all this.
Well, this is our land contract,
Okay, this-
because that's exactly what we have.
So you paid $120,500 for it,
Well, not yet, but that's what we
but
are
that's what
paying.
the buying price was?
Mhm. Because we gave him 8,000 at time of closing.
So the 8,000 at time of closing,
Mhm.
so total, the actual sale price was 28.5,
Mhm.
8,000 at closing.
Yep.
Interest rate of 5%? No. Balance outstanding, rate of 5%.
That was our interest rate.
Okay. And then, based on the principal repayments,
Yeah, this is the balance of 100,000, or, yeah, 100,000.
The detective starts by letting Katie walk through paperwork, payment terms, dates, and process details. It looks boring, but it's deliberate, structured, detail-heavy talk forces the suspect into cognitive load, where fabricated stories are harder to maintain because they require constant mental editing. At the same time, it functions as reality testing, locking her into specific numbers and timelines so later I don't know answers can be shown as selective memory rather than genuine confusion.
We've dug into all your financial records, we've dug into all of your cell phone records, all of your text messages.
Yeah.
We've talked to a lot of friends, a lot of family,
I figured that you did all that.
and we know the story that you've told so many lies about the situation. You don't even know how
We've told what we've heard
No.
from his family, from everyone, from the neighbors.
No, Katie.
Yeah.
I can pull out your statements, and you've contradicted yourself hundreds of times.
Not when I thought,
Yeah, you have.
I only made one statement at the last time
What
I was
about the
here.
statements you tell your friends?
From the family and the neighbors.
No,
The neighbors is what we talked about.
I'm talking about the statements that you're making about you, not about what you heard. It's about what you did, how
What
you
did I
found out, where you were, what you and Matt did. All of that's changed hundreds of times.
All we did was see it on the news and go right over there.
Katie,
That's all we did. Seriously.
I don't think you're listening to what I'm telling you here. All right.
I do. I'm telling the truth. I have nothing to hide. We saw it on the news. We called them, couldn't get the voicemail, or we kept getting voicemail. Matt left voicemail, saw it on the news, called my mom and went over there. That is what happened.
That's not what I'm saying.
I have nothing else to say. That's what happened.
Katie, okay, let me explain something to you, okay? Part of the search that we did was your text messages, okay? Part of this text messages we got, you made reference to seeing him the day before his phone.
Yes, and I know that was to my friend Becky at work. And yes, I did say that. And yes, that wasn't truthful.
Why?
Because I just started my job. I stayed home the day after we found out because we didn't know what was going on with the house. We didn't know what to talk to.
Okay.
And I just started my job. I wasn't going to lose it. So yeah, that was untruthful.
You also made a comment that you were actually in the basement. You went over there when the contractor
Yes.
found them, and you were actually in the
That's
basement.
the same thing to Becky. That was untruthful. I just needed a day off and I didn't want to get fired. I told her that was untruthful afterwards. I talked to her at work.
When did you talk to her?
A couple days after that day, I told her that was untruthful.
And we talked to her since then, and she never mentioned that. She said, this is what she told me.
Well,
Okay?
He guides her into admitting small lies first, like lying to a coworker about being at the basement, then immediately reframes. If you lied about that, what else is untruthful? This is classic foot in the door. Once someone concedes minor dishonesty, it becomes psychologically easier and harder to resist the next step, larger admissions. It also weakens the suspect's self-image as a truthful person, making fuller disclosure more likely.
Okay, well, let's just slow this down.
That, I know, but that is untruthful 100%.
Yes, it is untruthful 100%, okay?
Yeah.
And it's untruthful about the $17,000.
Well, that I don't know about.
we went
Honestly, I
back-
don't.
I went back and we subpoenaed the records, okay? And
Records of what?
all bank records.
Yeah, I know. Matt said it wasn't in the bank. I don't know anything
None
about
of the
that.
money was in the bank, but he didn't even have enough. You guys are living day to day, check to check,
We
okay?
have the money to pay him the $5,000 if he went for enough
Just
back.
because of the bonus.
That's how we were paying him.
Which is-
Yeah.
I went back, how many years do you think I went back?
Right.
I didn't go back till February. I went back years, okay?
Okay,
And
I know.
I
He
did-
got the bonuses every year.
And I can show you where you spent those bonuses as fast as you got.
I know,
okay?
but we held them until when Matt said he gave him the $17,000.
No, you didn't. The bonuses disappear as fast as they go in. I can.
I am going to go to Chase because
You
you
don't
will
have
see.
to.
I've got all the records.
Okay?
Okay, but what I'm trying to say is we had $5,000 in the account.
The morning, okay, this balloon payment was due on the 28th of February, okay?
Right,
On that Sunday, you had $3,500
right.
in your account.
And I didn't know what was going on,
Okay.
but he said that he gave
But
him
then you went
17
shopping
grand.
Sunday, right?
Yeah, because he said he gave him the 17 grand. Why would I think anything differently?
Well, exactly, why would you? So, I mean, what happened here then? What did Matt do?
He told
Because
me
there's more
already.
to this than meets the eye, okay?
I don't know.
Your stories, your and Matt's stories, we've gone through and
The
we've
statement
compared.
that I gave to the detective was the truth. That's
Okay.
exactly what
But it
was
doesn't
true.
Matt either.
We said,
But what did Matt say?
Matt said,
Matt told me the same thing that he told you that,
No, we did. We got a statement.
but he's got, his
Somebody-
times and dates are probably way off. He doesn't know nothing.
Well, that's what he's
Seriously,
saying
his
about you.
times and dates are
Well,
all
there's
off.
certain things that you don't screw up. I mean, he described in detail where you were when he told you about the so-called 17,000.
Yeah, I was sitting on the bed.
No.
That's
That's
what
how
we
he-
were.
that's how
I
he
was
said.
you
laying.
want to know where you said you were?
Where?
You're sitting on the toilet.
Oh yeah, because he said,
No,
listen, he said, I gotta tell you something. Then I went to the bathroom. He told me. Then I went back to the bed.
No, that's convenient, okay?
Why?
Because you changed your story now.
We got
It's a
changes.
small detail.
No, we got changes of all your dates.
You said that.
Instead of chasing every lie, the detective keeps circling one core claim, the $17,000. That's intentional. Once Katie commits repeatedly to a central story, the detective uses her repeated agreement as a trap. Consistency pressure builds internally because backing away now means admitting deception. This technique corners her by turning her own alias statements into a psychological handcuff.
The statement you gave to the
The
officers.
statement I gave the officers is exactly what happened. Because I didn't do anything. There's nothing that I did that I'm in trouble for.
Oh,
Well, you're covering from that.
What are you talking about? No.
Because,
That is insane. You can put your hands up all you want. I don't know anything.
well, you're telling us that he came home
He
at
told me that.
4:45 a.m.
That's when he
looked at the
comes
clock.
home. Yeah, because it was
No,
Sunday.
he didn't even check out until after 5. He didn't punch out until after 5. So it's
I was
possible.
4:45.
You were, I looked at the clock.
He told me at 6:16 a.m.
that's what he told you.
Yes.
Okay, now before you just told me he told you at night when you were sitting on the toilet, which one is it?
It's 6:16 a.m. when I was sitting on the toilet.
No, he said it was at night right before you went to bed.
No.
It wasn't. He got home from work and told me that. I'm not covering up for anyone. I don't have anything to
I
hide.
understand. I think
You're in a spot.
I
you
don't
have to
know
understand that
what kind of spot I'm in. I don't know
very serious spot.
what he told me. I don't know.
You're lying to Matt, is what you're
What are
doing.
you talking about lying for Matt? He hasn't done anything. I know where he
Yes,
is. I know what he's doing.
Yes, he has.
How? Where's the proof?
We got piles of proof.
Yep.
We got piles of proof.
What kind of evidence? There's nothing. He didn't do anything.
Well, just so you know, right now, we're conducting a search at your house.
That's fine.
Yeah, they're there now. We're taking your vehicles.
That's
Okay.
fine.
Matt's vehicle, your vehicle. They're going to the crime lab.
That's fine. Can I get a ride back to my house?
Definitely.
Okay.
Um,
What about my dogs? They're just running around.
The dogs are gonna be okay.
Are they gonna be there when I get back?
Yes, they will be.
yeah, I mean, they're not gonna do anything with your dogs.
Why?
You just have to understand, did you know that, also that Matt is contacting some other women, some ex-girlfriends, that type of thing?
No.
Okay.
When? How? We share a
you-
cell phone.
Phrases like "we subpoenaed the records," "we've dug into your phone," and "we have piles of proof" aren't just informational. They're psychological leverage. The detective projects inevitability. The truth is already known. This triggers the authority heuristic, where people comply more readily when they believe the other side has superior access to facts. Even if the suspect doesn't know what evidence exists, the certainty compresses their perceived options.
All right, I've been doing this job for 27 years, and I'm telling you, zero.
Well, then he's covering up to me because we're living a very normal, everyday life.
Well, and then you don't, obviously know as well as you think.
Do you have the emails from the Facebook? I want to see those.
Yeah, it's right here.
No, from the girls he was emailing with his name signed.
Yeah.
Let me
Right.
see.
Um,
Can I just read it?
well, I'm not gonna let you, because it's got her name on it.
I'm not gonna go after. I want to know who it is. Otherwise, he's not gonna believe me when I say something.
This is from his brother's Ryan's Facebook account.
Well, it doesn't say anything bad.
Yeah.
If I knew who
He
it
bought a
was
house.
for.
He bought a house, not we bought a house. My girlfriend and I didn't say anything about
Oh.
her girlfriend. Talks about, hey, you wanna come over? Why would he be emailing this chick saying, hey, you wanna come
I
over?
don't know, because that's, yeah.
Is that what a good boyfriend does? Okay.
Did he email anyone else?
We'll get into that in a little bit, but, I'm just telling you that we understand by talking to people, Matt's not a great boyfriend. All right, no matter how much you want to stick up for him, and no matter how much you want to say that he is, and
Not
he's
even
great,
sticking up for him. I mean, from how we live day to day, he's fine. I talked to him like 3 times today. I went home on lunch, sit on the
So you're
couch.
saying he doesn't call you fat, he doesn't tell you that somebody else is gonna cover one?
Yeah, years ago he did, but he hasn't in probably 3-4 years. He used to way back in the day. That's when, we both drank a lot, but we don't drink anymore. We haven't in years.
So what time are you saying that he got home that Sunday morning?
Well, you said I was apparently wrong, but I do remember looking at the clock at 6:12, and then at 6:16 the story was over and we called.
So you got home somewhere around, sometime at 6:12 or?
Well, no, he took a shower first, so it had to have been any time between 4:45 and then.
Took a shower.
When he got home, he
No,
did.
you said he never took a shower.
He did.
The detective doesn't demand a confession immediately. He hunts for small mismatches: bed versus toilet, night versus morning, shower vs no shower. Who called her mom? What time the call occurred? This mirrors how statement validity approaches work. Truthful accounts tend to remain stable in core structure, while deceptive accounts drift under pressure because they are managed. Each tiny inconsistency becomes a brick in a wall, making denial feel increasingly irrational.
Last week. But they just bought a house Wednesday or Thursday, so he's taking his name off of it when they move in May, he said. He doesn't live with us.
Well, Katie, like I said before, okay, we've been looking at this we've been going over a lot of stuff for the last couple weeks.
That's fine.
A lot of things don't add up.
Right.
Okay? A
But
lot of things that you, a lot of differences in the statements, information, how he ended up over there, how this happened, certain conversations, okay? Every time somebody talks to you, it's different, okay? In looking at this whole case, we looked at it, and then we looked at you. And we talked to your parents. Or we talked to your family, okay? Your sister, your mom, and we did some background to see what's going on, okay? They all said, Katie was at one point this girl, okay? They showed her a picture of you before you met him, okay? And described how your life was, okay? And then we go to now, okay? And we look at it and just to see the transition, okay? The transformation that you made, okay? You know what's scary? is in talking to his other girlfriends and seeing what happened. This is the same thing. He took bright, young, attractive, beautiful young girls, and he turned them into people who would lie for him, steal for him, cheat for him, people who he used and manipulated. He physically abused, turned them into drugs. Okay, and that's what we see, and that's what I see with you. And you know what? I see this every day, but to see it transform this many people this way, it bothers me. Okay, and that is why your mom and your dad and your sister and your family is so concerned as to what's going on here and what's going on with you. They're concerned for you, and I think they have a genuine right to be concerned.
But they
for you.
tell me every day they're happy for both of us. My mom hangs out with Matt like they're friends.
Because they want you to be happy and they're concerned for your safety.
But I mean, we're actually doing well.
The detective highlights Katie's transformation and references how her family sees her now versus before. That creates self-discrepancy, the gap between who she believes she is, normal, responsible, honest, and who the facts suggest she is becoming, someone lying, covering, drifting into crime. People experience discomfort when their identity story is threatened, and one way to reduce it is to correct the narrative by telling the truth.
We were in a lot of trouble. We did do a lot of bad stuff, but the last 3 years we're doing well.
Then what happens? Is Matt back to using drugs?
No.
Then what happened?
What do you mean? What happened?
I mean, you
What
have
happened where?
this perfect thing set up. This. He gave you a break. I mean, he gave Matt.
I know.
He gave you guys a break.
Yeah.
You got you into a new home. Had more than enough money in his account. So we've been through his with a fine-tooth comb. Okay?
Right.
That makes up. Never happened.
No.
Guaranteed 100% never happened. Okay? So now we say, why is he lying about the 17,000? So we start looking back. Okay? And what happens? He gets his bonus at the beginning of February. How much did he get for a bonus?
It was like 50 something. Like 5,300 or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So he gets his bonus, right? And that's supposed to go for the down payment, right? But you spend it. So we run out of the money there.
We had 5,000 for a while in there.
You did not have $5,000 when you needed it, okay?
But we had it the whole time.
But why didn't you pay it then? Why didn't you pay it when you first got it?
Because it was due the 28th.
Okay.
But
you spent it all. That $5,000 disappears, okay?
I understand that, but that's because he said that he gave him 17 in
I
January.
didn't say that till the 26th.
And then the money was already gone.
Yes, because I kept every to pay Tom.
And he said what?
And he would just say, I know, I have it under control. And then that's when he told me I gave him the money in January.
Well,
the money was already gone. You know that when this whole thing came around on the 26th, that money was gone. And I think what happened is there was a panic that, my God, we're not going to have a $5,000, the first installment. Lose the down
Even
payment.
if we didn't have the $5,000 with one paycheck, we could have put it back in. We had $3,500 with one.
You spent it down.
Right, but you said that what? What'd you say? Sunday, $3,500?
Introducing Matt's cheating, secret messaging, and past violence is not gossip, it's triangulation. The detective is separating the couple psychologically. You don't know him like you think. Once loyalty cracks, suspects often start prioritizing self-preservation. By making Matt look deceptive and dangerous, the detective encourages Katie to reinterpret events as manipulation, creating a pathway for her to cooperate without feeling like the villain.
Only time I was ever over there, I stood.
There's no reason for any of your
No.
things to be there or Matt's.
No.
Okay.
I've only been there in August. That is it. And that's the only time I was there with Matt. And to my knowledge, that's the only time Matt was there.
You find
That's
it
it.
odd too that you called, or Matt called your mom and said, before it was ever released, that it was even a suspicious death.
Well, come on. Man found deceased in a home.
Yeah. Couldn't be a heart attack. Couldn't be a suicide.
When did he say he was murdered?
When?
Yeah.
You told you. Matt told your mom that.
When did he say that? Because I don't remember.
It's in your
Honestly,
conversation.
I'm not trying to cover anything
I'm just
else,
telling
alright?
you, because we talked to the captain that does the public relations. He's got everything documented as far as what was told. It wasn't even released that it was a suspicious death.
I don't know. I'm not trying to cover anything up. I don't know anything about this 17,000. I don't know what happened. I don't know anything.
Well, and you know Matt better than we do, right?
Well, apparently I don't from what you're telling me because he's talking to girls online, so how do I
I
know?
think you know Matt better than we do, right?
Yes.
Okay. Why would he come up with the $17,000?
I don't know because I can't believe it.
What did he tell you? How did the $17,000 thing go down? What did he tell you? What did he tell you about that story?
After there, and he gave it to him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he told me.
And where did he give it to him?
At his work.
Okay, do you find that odd? At his work at night, asking Matt for money, who he knows doesn't have any money because he knows he had to borrow from his 401k to get a down payment, and he knows that he's struggling and that he's got this balloon payment, and he's got.
That's right, he's giving you a break.
Matt's got all these other people he can go. These other people he can go to for money, who if he needed it, he would have gone to, but he goes to Matt.
I don't know.
I mean, just think of this, just logically, all right? Take Matt out of it, and you look at that picture, Katie, seriously.
When he says, just logically, and walks through why Tom wouldn't ask broke tenants for money, he's forcing central root processing. Instead of letting her hide behind emotion, he demands analytic reasoning. When the story cannot survive basic logic, the suspect experiences pressure to either supply missing details, which risks contradiction, or abandon the claim.
Asked him to borrow $5,000, and Matt loaned him, went to the bank, got a loan, and loaned him $5,000. Right there, and then he said, well, wait a minute, I want to change that story.
Well, no, he told me that he told me that the cop was being very vague.
Oh, okay.
Or he wrote it vague and
You have to
wrong.
understand something. The officer that took that statement, he's been an officer for almost 20 years, and that story is so, I mean, I can see maybe the officer making a strange, maybe miswriting something like gave instead of loan or something like that, because we all do that, and then you cross it out. But that story, come over to your house, asking Matt to loan him $5,000, and Matt actually going to a bank and getting the money. That's not even close to the story that he ended up giving to the officer. And some Mexican guy coming to his place of business, you know, the $17,200, you know, and that's not even close to the first statement. So the officer's not going to screw up the statement that bad. All right, what happened there is Matt started telling that story, and all of a sudden he realized, that's crazy. I mean, that's not going to fly. Because they can track a loan if I went to a bank and got a loan. So no, I want to change that. All right, that's where Matt screwed up. Is he started talking before his mind got caught up. All right, that's why I changed. So, like I said, before you get yourself all caught up in this, I'm not saying you're a part of this. Seriously,
Caught up in what?
we need to know exactly what happened with Matt and the day that he came home, all right, and the times, everything that you know, Katie, because if you lie to us, you can get charged with party to the crime.
He repeatedly emphasizes the stakes. Decisions today affect the rest of your life, party to a crime. If you lie, you can get charged. This leveraged loss aversion. People work harder to avoid severe losses than to gain equivalent benefits. The detective is shaping her decision frame from protect Matt to protect myself from irreversible consequences, nudging her toward cooperation as the safer option.
I understand that. I don't know anything.
Even if you weren't at the house, Katie.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is, the morning he told me I was on the toilet, yes I was. He took a shower when he got home because over the last 6 years, sometimes he does if he has a bunch of salt and smells nasty. That's just how it goes.
Or you just got done killing somebody.
No.
Yeah. Trust me, Katie.
Well, then why don't you talk to him? I don't know
How do you know we're not?
anything.
How do you know we're not?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I don't know anything.
Katie, you know why I would come to you?
Why?
Because we're worried about you, because your family's worried about you.
Okay.
That's why we came to you, you know why?
But that's fine, because I don't know anything.
And
I don't know what you want me to say, because I don't know anything about the
Well, we know-
17,000.
we
I don't
know.
know anything.
Okay. We know that the story, you're not that naive, Katie. You cannot honestly, in your heart of heart, believe the story about 17,000 with Matt.
I honestly, in my heart of hearts, there's no way he killed him. I'm sorry, there's no way.
I didn't say that. I said 17,000. There's no way, Katie.
I don't
seriously.
know.
Well, see, that's
I know he
you're-
saved money, because he bought me this bracelet and he saved money for it.
Katie cycles the same phrases. I don't know, talk to him, that's all I do. The detective calmly refuses to accept the loop and keeps returning to specifics. Over time, repetitive denial becomes tiring and less believable even to the speaker. This creates perseveration pressure. Maintaining the same defensive script under relentless, calm questioning drains mental stamina, making slips and unguarded corrections more likely.
Well, obviously, he didn't save it, but he spent it, right?
Well,
I mean,
he saved
saving
it for that.
$100 and spending it next week is not saving it.
But he
That's
was
not
saving
saving.
for a while. This wasn't $100.
I'm not saying it was, that's an analogy.
Okay.
Right? That's not saving money.
Okay.
And there's no reason, if he actually had that money, there's no reason he went to put it in a bank. And there's no reason that he would have had it in your house and you not find it. Come on. I mean, that is so far-fetched. That's almost as far-fetched as that first story he gave that officer. That's crazy. And then loaning it to a guy that's full of money. He didn't need the money.
Well, I don't know.
And he wouldn't come to you guys, nothing against you guys, but you guys don't have any money.
I
So he
know.
wouldn't come to you guys to say, can I have $20,000? That's ludicrous.
I don't know. I don't know anything about it. All I know is what he came home and told me that night. That's all I know about the whole situation. That's it.
And we know that this whole story that you fabricated about 17,000 isn't true.
That's not a good story.
Yeah, it is.
It's not.
100%.
No, it's not.
100%.
No, it's not.
We subpoenaed all your bank records, phone records, you name it. 17 grand is,
I told you,
Yes.
it wasn't in the bank.
it doesn't matter.
Never.
You never had it, yeah.
The problem is, everything Katie knows comes from the same source, and that source is about to be tested.
Why would I ask questions? I trust him. We've been together for 6 years.
Did you see him get rid of any clothing since that happened?
No, I know he hasn't, because he goes through a routine of clothing, and I do all the clothing. We share a closet. I wear some of his clothing to work, to Oxford.
You say you trust him, you've known him for years, but you don't trust him. You know that he's been flying around on you.
Yeah.
Well, I
You know
don't
that
think he
he's
does.
trying.
So if you trust him so much, you wouldn't have those doubts, right?
Well, I only did because he was hanging out with his brother. And his brother's a loser.
You were close to your brother?
Not after he sent me to prison. I mean, he didn't really send me to prison, but
So right now you're not close to him?
I'm trying to rekindle our friendship, but he drinks a lot and he's got a lot of DUIs, and whenever he wants to hang out, he wants to go to a bar and he wants to drink, and I don't got time for that. I work too much. So all of his friends smoke pot and drink and party, and I don't got time for that. You can't go to work hungover. You can't.
So how do you explain all of the discrepancies and inaccuracies
I can't believe this. I
in
can't.
your statement?
You guys are crazy. Oh my God.
Confidence without proof only works if the story never changes. Unfortunately, his story changes constantly.
The date of the murder, that it's strange that he comes and wakes you up or whatever and tells you about this fictitious $17,000 thing.
No, because we were supposed to be owing them.
I'm telling you, it's not true. I'm telling you, it's not true. And all we can do, Katie, for you is we're trying to open the door for you.
That's
all right?
fine. I don't know anything.
Well,
I'm saying I'm not covering up. I don't know anything. He told me about the 17,000. That's all I know about it, and that's that. That's it.
But he told you after the fact, okay?
After what?
after Tom's dead.
Was dead, he tells you that about the $17,000.
What if it's coincidence?
I don't believe in coincidence.
You didn't
because
I don't know. I don't know.
Katie, we're not accusing you of it.
Well, it sure feels like it when I don't know anything.
No, what we're telling you is to slow down and look at the others. Look at what is going on here, okay? Start thinking with your head and not your heart.
I had money before I went to prison. I had a lot of money before I went to prison put away, hidden at my parents' house. You guys didn't, I didn't have money in the bank accounts. I never kept my money in the bank.
It was no 17,000, okay?
But
I can
you
tell you
guys
that right
say-
now.
I don't know.
Katie knows it. Katie told us, no, he wouldn't have that money.
Whatever
And you know what?
guys say.
Matt, your spending habits even show that, okay?
This wasn't just a financial detail. The $17,000 was the foundation. If it wasn't real, the motive suddenly becomes very real.
What we're telling you is to slow down and look at the others. Look at what is going on here, okay? Start thinking with your head and not your heart, okay? That's what I'm asking you to do, okay? You're an intelligent young woman. You obviously know a lot about how life goes. You pretty much run the finances according to Matt. You run home strict, okay? You're a detailed person. Would it make sense for us to talk to a detailed person? Okay. Now, looking at this, why would Matt all of a sudden on that day, why would Matt all of a sudden come up with his $17,000 thing? Why would he? Okay. And I'm just asking you, why would he all of a sudden on that day? Well, that's a coincidence, right? But now it opens up the door for you to be able to spend and not have to worry about $5,000, right?
The detective repeatedly tells her to think with your head and not your heart, pushing her out of emotional, automatic reasoning into slower, analytical thinking. This corners her because the more she engages logic mode, the harder it becomes to keep defending a story that doesn't add up.
Okay, so you go on that spending spree. You thinking that you're covered, right? If you knew you weren't covered, would you have spent that money?
No.
No, you wouldn't have, because you're responsible, right? And you know what the money is for, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you wouldn't have spent that money, okay? So Matt comes up with the story. Why? Because
I don't know. He just told me.
Because that morning, he doesn't have to come up with the money anymore. And he knows that, okay? Now, what I'm saying is, you pretty much hit on something that we didn't let out yet. You said he's spending a lot of time with his brother, and his brother's a bad dude, right?
Well, he just drinks.
Could you see his brother doing something like this?
No.
Okay, well, when people drink and do drugs, stupid things happen.
Yeah, but he's been in jail.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he was in jail just up until I don't know when.
He highlights how her behavior, spending, timeline gaps, changing details, conflicts with her self-image as strict, responsible, detailed. That mismatch creates mental discomfort, so she's pressured to resolve it by admitting the story is shaky or that she's missing something important.
Well, let me see. Okay, people do stupid things, right? When they drink and do drugs, people do stupid things. And you know that, and I know that, we all know that things happen, okay? The problem is that when that happens, okay, we make stupid decisions. We start to see ourselves going into this tunnel, and we can't find our way out. And the situation starts to look desperate. When he's looking at the losing the house, because if you don't make that payment, what happens to your house? If you don't make the balloon payment, what happens to your house? What happens to your land contract?
I don't know. What does it state in there?
What happens to a land contract if you do not meet a term, because you lose everything you own?
Including the down payment.
including the down payment, and now it's not, okay? So now, the bonus is spent, you don't have the money coming out, and all of a sudden, Matt makes it right.
He builds a narrative of financial pressure, looming contract loss, and a desperate way out. By supplying a situational motive, he reduces the psychological distance between Matt would never and a desperate person could, tightening the net around her denial.
Matt comes home and tells you, I got it covered. What was he telling you? He kept saying, he said he covered. He said he's got it covered. When he had the 5,000, don't worry about it. I got it covered. I got it covered. Okay? Now he's sticking around and then he just covered and it gets closer and closer and closer. So he comes home and tells you, we don't have to worry no more, honey. I had $17,000 and I loaned it to Tom. Because Tom needed money for his business. Okay? Do you think that's coincidence? No, it's not.
We have bad luck.
Hey, Kitty, I understand you had bad luck, you know what? And I see that you are working to get out of it, okay? I think Matt fell back into the bad luck state. Matt fell into a situation where he got stuck and needed a way out, okay? I'm not saying that he got desperate and there was no other way out for him.
He gets her to agree to a chain of yes points. You're responsible. You wouldn't spend if you weren't covered. You'd want answers. It's possible people have secret lives. Each small agreement quietly locks her into a bigger conclusion without forcing a direct confession.
At that scene, I was there from the time, from 7 minutes after his body was discovered. I was there, okay? I was there when you showed up.
I know that.
Captain Conrad said that the officer would be taking the statements, okay? I knew what was going on there. I was
but we came forward to do the right thing.
I was directing it, okay? I understand that. So when all this stuff started coming up, you know, we started looking at this, putting it together. This isn't the way. Friend of mine, he was not. He was your landlord. He was the guy who sold you the house. He was a nice guy. He was nice to you, but he wasn't your friend. You guys met him once at his house, and oh, he was our best friend. And even Matt said that. That's bullshit, okay? Matt made it come off like they were the best of buds and hung and this stuff. Bullshit.
You know, we don't get search warrants for your house and, you know, impounding your vehicles and everything else for nothing. And we know that this whole story that you fabricated about 17,000 isn't true.
That's not weird.
In Katie's version, this was a friendship. In Matthew's version, it's something else entirely. And that difference matters.
Matt didn't know him any better than you knew him. You met him once, he gave you a break, okay? And now, what does he get for giving you guys a break? He gets killed.
He does.
Okay? Who he loved very much, who he was providing for.
I know
Okay?
that.
And he did not deserve to end up the way he did.
Not at all.
So, if you look at everything we're looking at, there's only one logical conclusion. And I'll tell you right now, we are not the only ones who've come up with this conclusion, okay? We wouldn't be here. We have to put everything we have in front of a judge. The judge has said there's enough probable cause here to search your house. There's enough probable cause here to seize your vehicles. There's enough probable cause here to take possession of your vehicles and send them to the crime lab. That doesn't happen. That does not happen unless.
And then what if you search our house and our vehicles and there's nothing?
Are we
Then
gonna
what?
find nothing?
I would think so.
We're gonna
He references warrants, probable cause, vehicles seized, crime lab testing, signaling the case has already cleared serious thresholds. That corners her psychologically. If judges and labs are involved, her nothing is happening stance looks less credible and more risky to maintain.
Mhm.
What do you mean? You mean you're gonna put it there and find it? There's nothing in the house that
We
I
don't need
know
to do
about.
We don't need to, you can maybe go after someone else you don't know.
Well, why would there be?
Well, supposedly there was 17,000 in your house, you didn't know.
I didn't know about anything like that.
But Katie, Something is going on here. Do you agree with me that something exists?
No, I don't.
You never saw this before.
No. What is that?
I just asked a question myself.
Now, what
That's not my phone, so I don't know whose that is.
is the logical conclusion? You tell me what's going on. Don't you think it's weird?
Yeah, but I have no reason to think that he would kill him. He didn't. I mean, why would I think that?
Tell me who did that.
I don't know.
Tell me who this every.
But why does it matter?
Because everything's pointing at him. Because all the discrepancies in this. Because he had the most to gain by his death. Nobody else had anything. Matt, we've spoken to everybody else. He's had contact with.
$5,000 is not worth
It's $20,000.
that.
How about
Yeah, but it's-
$128,000?
$5,000 every 4 whatever. That's not
Well,
worth
actually, it's
it.
20,000 plus all the 8,000 down payment. So
Right, that's not worth it. Why?
Well,
You're right. You're right. You're right.
for you and I on the
It's
prices.
not worth it.
Why would it? No one would
What
kill
if
someone for
Matt's
that.
looking at it different? What if Matt's looking at it different?
I highly doubt that.
You don't think so? You don't think he's looking at it in a way of, I'm gonna lose my house, I'm gonna lose everything I've worked for, we love this house, I'm
No,
gonna lose Katie.
No.
Would he have lost you if you lost the house?
no,
You would have stayed with him.
yes.
He keeps certain details vague, things we're waiting on, stuff coming back. We're going to find something, which forces her mind to fill gaps with worst-case possibilities. That uncertainty makes just stick to the story feel dangerous.
We've had a lot of rough times together.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll stay with them no matter what.
No, but I mean, if we lost a house, that's not the end of the world.
What would it take for you to leave him?
I don't know.
What would be a scenario?
I don't know. I don't know. Look, you guys are throwing a lot of stuff at me. I don't know right now. All I know is I don't know where the 17,000 came from. I don't know anything else except what he told me. I need to go home and process this. I don't know.
So he made this all up, and you don't know why he made this all up.
No, I don't know anything. All he did was tell me that.
I understand he told you that.
I'm not trying to lie. I'm not trying to cover anything up. I don't know.
I don't think you want to believe.
I don't know.
Because
The thing is, why would I believe that? I don't have any proof.
I wouldn't want to believe somebody I thought I knew, somebody close to me.
I don't have any proof of anything. Why would he do that? He wouldn't.
Exactly. Why would he do it?
He goes to work and he comes home. Haven't you checked his punch cards?
Yes, we have.
Okay, then you'll see. He goes to work and comes home.
Does he come home? How do you know? Do you know every time he punches out? Have you checked his punch cards?
When he comes upstairs, he plays his video games. He comes home in the same clothes that he leaves in when he goes to work.
How tired can you be? How deep can you be? Barely walking.
It's pretty hard. You can ask Katie, when she pulls me out of those stores, I'm falling asleep in the stores. If you'd walk next to me, you'd see me walking, dozing off.
Routine can feel like innocence, but routine can also be rehearsed.
That a lot of this raises questions as to what in the heck happened and what in the heck Matt did. Okay, that's my answer. A lot of this stuff, because it's obvious to me that there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes with Matt that you don't know about. Okay, I hope that you don't get dragged into this. I want to tell you, there's a lot of stuff we're waiting on right now. There's some things that we're waiting on that are coming back. We didn't just pick to take this stuff today because we could have. We did it for a reason. Okay, everything we do has some things that's going to play out down the line. And I'm going to tell you that straight up. We've got stuff at the crime lab. Okay, the biggest thing everybody looks for. What's everybody look for at crime scenes?
DNA.
Exactly, DNA. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. No, everybody thinks I wear gloves. I'm not worried about DNA. They all think everybody thinks they can do a perfect murder. Okay, people thought I could get away with this. I could get away with This DNA has come so far, literally. I just left my DNA and go, that's how far it's come, okay? It's called touch DNA. With gloves on, doesn't prevent it, okay? It doesn't prevent it. You see on TV, all they wear gloves or don't have this stuff. It's there. And I'm gonna tell you, we've got touch DNA in this case. We're just waiting for it to come back.
I'm
I
glad.
know why it's gonna come back.
I want to know.
I want you to be prepared for where it comes back. You've already told us when you guys were in the house last, okay? So without knowing it, you gave us information, okay? You probably thought, well, that's dumb. Why would I,
Well, this was a long time ago.
Exactly.
He vaccinates against her future excuses by warning that touch DNA and forensic returns will decide the story. By planting that expectation early, he weakens later denial, because she's already been mentally prepared that evidence can contradict her.
So if we find Matt's DNA in there, or your DNA in there, or so-and-so's DNA in there, when we know what's not supposed to be in there, what's the conclusion? Right? That's what we're preparing for. Okay? That's where it's going to go. That's what we're preparing for. Okay? So, Katie, you are always free to leave, and you are free to leave.
But I don't want you to think I'm lying because I've done it.
I don't want to think you're lying either, okay? You know how I work? Proof.
I know.
Okay? I don't sit here and judge you. I don't sit here and say, she's lying. You know what I say? I get the information you gave me, and I go back, and I look at it, and then I have to decide and look and try to prove right or wrong.
At this point, this isn't suspicion. It's accumulation. Judges don't sign off on feelings. They sign off on evidence.
The problem we're having, as we brought up before, is all the other stuff that came up, okay? All the other stuff that happened, okay? The lies to your workers, the lies that I saw. I mean, you basically put yourself with him the day before the murder.
I know, and I know that I lied because I just started my job and I didn't want to lose it. I like my job and
they like you there. Okay.
I know, and I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know what to do.
And that's
And I know I was wrong to lie. I know that.
So, but then see what that does for me. It makes my job difficult. Okay? Because
I'm sorry.
Now you're asking me to trust you.
And I'm sorry.
And it's hard, isn't it? And it's hard. So,
but I haven't been there since August, so my fingerprints and DNA aren't going to come back anywhere.
Yeah, that's good. And that's what I pray for them. You know why? Because I don't want you. You know why? Because you remember when I told you about talking to your family? We did.
I figured
Remember when I told you about your mom caring about you? She does.
I know
that. Your sister, she does. Okay?
I know that, but exactly. I don't have any part of it. Exactly. I didn't do anything.
And we weren't looking at you as having any part of it. We want to know how much Matt told you.
That's all Matt told me. And that's what's frustrating because I know what everyone thinks. You've been together so long, so you know everything. I don't.
And people have secret lives, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. And it's possible for somebody to be doing one thing and I mean, how many spouses get caught, having affairs that went on for years and the person didn't know about it, right? That was going on right underneath their roof, right there, and they didn't know about it, right?
Yeah.
So you're not contacting any ex-girlfriends or anything?
No, I mean, I say hi to him, or I sent a message to one on Facebook saying, hi, I'm doing good, how was your life? I mean, not like, hi, I miss you, I love you, I'm not trying to get with them.
Why contact anybody?
Why not? I hang out with Katie every day.
You're happily in a relationship with this woman that you love, and so why is there?
So I can't make friends?
Why is there a need to contact other women?
If it could have been a guy, why not?
But it wasn't.
Make friends.
Small lies are easy to forgive. They are also practiced for bigger ones.
Besides, okay, my job is to take you where the evidence goes, and this is where it is coming.
I know.
This is where it came, okay? That's why I'm here, okay? So as to what went on here today, you gotta understand that there are discrepancies in the way things went down. between you and Matt, there are some huge.
There's a huge one.
Exactly.
And that's what makes me mad because since I've known him, he's never right with dates and times.
Yeah.
So then it makes us seem like we don't know our
It's not only
stories.
the dates and times, it's the
It's everything.
It's
I don't
everything.
even know
It's
that.
It's the contact with his girlfriends.
I didn't
it's
know
his
that
violent
either.
past. I mean, what he did to that girl, you know what? I'm concerned. I don't want that to happen to you. You know him better than I do, and if you feel comfortable, that's up to
I
you.
do.
But I'm telling you, I do not know him, except for what I read. And this isn't just opinion. This is fact because he's been convicted of it. Okay, what he did to that girl, she's 17 years old. Okay, he minimized what he did. Why? I wouldn't want people knowing what I did.
I know.
But you know what? He's got the temper. He is a violent man. He can be violent. He's proved that more than once in the past. Okay, and it could be him and his brother get together. And that's a bad mix, okay? The problem is when people get into things, drinking, drugs, things like that, you know that, I see it. They lose the big picture. They get tunnel vision. They see a problem, and the problem is probably easily solved, but it becomes unsurmountable because they can't see past the problem. They can't see all here, right? That's where people get into trouble.
He labels her as intelligent, structured, and responsible, then uses that identity to ask why she'd accept a bizarre cash story. The trap is subtle. Once she accepts the I'm a rational person identity, staying aligned with an irrational explanation threatens her own self-definition.
So Katie, you understand where we're coming from?
Yes.
Okay. And, I mean, if you know something, are you willing to help us out with it?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I ask for, okay? The biggest.
And that's why I'm crying. I'm frustrated because I don't have anything to tell you. I don't know nothing.
And I'm sorry that I had to put it to where I did, okay? But I'm also telling you, I'm concerned for you, okay? I am concerned for you, okay? I've seen the pictures. I don't know, you're a very smart, attractive woman, hardworking. I mean, you know what? You deserve a lot in life. You've been through some stuff, you've pulled yourself up, and you've got yourself going. Don't let anybody pull you down, okay? You got something that a lot of people I talk to don't have. You know what that is? A family support group.
I know.
Do you know how many people I talk to whose families don't care at all?
I know.
Okay? Your family cares. That's something to see. And when we did tell you that they're concerned about mental health, they are. Okay? They are concerned about mental health. Okay? When we talked to them, they said they all thought Matt would be capable of doing this. They were concerned for you. Okay?
But I don't see him capable of doing
That's
it.
fine. They were concerned for you. Okay? So that is why we're talking to you. Okay? Obviously, you got support here. You got support.
I'm concerned about you. Bringing in her mom, offering to take her home. These moves lower defenses. It signals the detective isn't only an adversary, he's a safe authority figure. That reduces reactance, the urge to resist control, and increases talk. It also gives her an emotionally acceptable reason to shift. She's not snitching, she's getting help or getting clarity.
And that's what we're talking about.
I know.
Okay? So use that support.
I'm going to.
Okay? There's a lot here that, and we've been talking, there's a lot here that I think is going on in Matt's life that you don't know about. But there's some things, like I said, there's things that may be totally insignificant to you that have a ton of meaning to us. That's why we're looking for details. That's why we're looking for what happened that night, okay? We've been through it. And we asked her to come in, she wanted to come in, she wants to go home. And we told her she was not out there, she never was. And she came down here by herself. And at times during the interview, there's things that were said that she doesn't want to see it or believe it. And you can imagine that too, right? Somebody you care about who is nobody wants to do like that. Nobody wants to. But you gotta look at the facts in this. You gotta look at the breakdown.
I told your mom, Katie,
Go,
I told your mom, Katie, that in talking to you, that I can actually see the wheels turning, your thoughts, and, you know, but for whatever reason, you're just,
Like I told him, what I told you guys is all I know. And that's why I'm frustrated, because I don't have any more to tell.
Yeah. And you're frustrated because of the fact that you found some information out that you didn't know, right? And maybe we switched on the light that starts to put things in line. Like coincidences don't happen like this, okay? Like $17,000 doesn't appear out of air. Like it doesn't come up.
Bringing her mom in and speaking soft reframes the detective from adversary to safeguard. When the subject feels protected rather than attacked, defenses drop, making it easier to reconsider loyalty to the suspect and easier to disclose later.
A manipulator. I just want to go home. I said all I know, and I swear, because I don't want to be in trouble. I didn't do anything to be in trouble. I just want to go home. All I know is what man told me. That's it.
Can you swear on your doggy's life?
I can swear on my doggy's life. I can swear on Buster's life. I can swear on Max's life. I can swear. And you know how much I love those dogs and those two kids. That's all I know. How did we ever get here? I don't know. But I don't know. I did not do anything. I wasn't his misogynist. I don't know anything but what he told me that day. I don't. I would tell him because that's a very horrible thing that happened.
It's worse than horrible.
I have a heart. I don't tell. I don't know anything about. And you know me. If I knew something, I would be cocky and stupid. I don't know anything.
The reason everyone's badgering you so much is because we know you've covered for him before for stupid things.
I know, but this is more than stupid, Mom.
I changed my life. I don't have to. When I was in prison, I did an anger management class and I learned so many awesome techniques to get rid of anger. When someone pisses you off, I smile and look the other way.
really,
Yeah. I learned, they teach you that. They teach you pressure points. They teach you how to flush anger out the other way.
If $17,000 truly changed the contract, there would be paper. There isn't.
Serious. I don't know anything else, or I don't.
what do you plan on doing in the future? I mean, as far as do you plan on going back and living with Matt? Do you plan on?
I don't know. I don't know right now. Honestly, I don't know.
I mean, that's something that you should probably discuss.
I know, but I don't know right now. This is all like.
I guess that was more a question for your mom, I guess. I mean, it's
Well, we still have to talk. I don't know.
I know.
Katie,
What?
it's all set up, okay? What you're gonna do is you can go out there, just pull up to the driveway, okay, and maybe you can go out, you can't go in the house, okay?
You're right.
No, we got the dogs, I made it straightforward with you, right? Okay, that's the way it is, we sat there and I told you, this is what it is. The biggest thing is that if what you told me is true, you don't have to worry, right?
I'm not. I'm
Okay,
too
but
frustrated.
if you lie, then you have to worry,
I know.
okay? The biggest thing is that we understand that and we know that.
I know.
So now we got the captain line, we got Katie's mom line,
Katie's lying.
Katie's line, the officer's line,
Yeah.
that wrote the statement,
You guys are something, man.
And you lie for Carlos.
and that's right, you like girls because you didn't want to get them in trouble.
When every other person becomes the liar, it's usually because the truth has nowhere left to go.
No, it's darn or how does that work?
Your cell phone? Okay.
But you're not gonna go back by him.
Okay, but I can go when he's not there to get my clothes. Is what I'm saying.
Only if one of these gentlemen are with you, that's my rule.
Okay, but I'm
Because
just
you know what?
asking how this
This
works.
is getting
Mom.
down to the wire, Katie.
I know that. I'm trying to figure out how this works.
And if he
I will
thinks
let you
you're
know what
gonna,
else is released.
You can call me.
if he thinks you're gonna say anything, you're in danger. And you know that.
About what?
If he thinks you're gonna say anything to the police that's gonna get him in trouble,
I know.
you're in danger.
I know, Mom.
You're not going back to that house or seeing him
I don't
with
have
one of
anything
these gentlemen.
to say.
Okay, I'm
Just
telling you.
go waiting
Okay.
on,
I
afraid
just
that he's
need to
gonna
go.
punch
This is
me.
all.
I know.
This is all too much. I just really have to go.
Stop. Listen to me.
What am I doing?
Listen to me. Oh, you're gonna be safe and he's not gonna find you. That's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, just let me get my dog. Please.
You're not going anywhere near him or the house without one of these gentlemen with you
Okay.
until this is all over with.
Okay.
He repeatedly stacks facts, discrepancies, and probabilities until her belief state is pressured to update. Less this is random, more the odds are collapsing. Even without direct proof shown on screen, the accumulation effect corners her into admitting the situation is not normal. In the case of the 2012 murder of Thomas Wick and the related offenses, Matthew Moore was sentenced to a lengthy prison term following his conviction. A Brown County judge sentenced him to decades behind bars for his role in Wick's death and other charges, reflecting the severity and premeditation of his actions. In one of the reported outcomes, Moore received a sentence totaling 53 years in prison followed by 28 years of extended supervision for the crimes he committed, including the shooting death of Wick and involvement in other related offenses. In another account of his plea agreement and sentencing, he faced 40 years in prison and 20 years of extended supervision for the Wick homicide, plus additional sentences for other related charges in the case. These extensive terms illustrate the legal system's response to the violent crime and efforts to ensure accountability and community safety through a substantial custodial sentence.